Hi! I promised you I would show you how to do chicken, and as you can see, this is my friend the chicken. This is my friend the pan, and obviously I'm Italian, so yeah, olive oil. So that's pretty much what you need, and a knife. I like to have a good knife. I would say buy yourself a good knife. You need a cutting board. One trick with a cutting board is always use wood. And before you cut anything on wood, make sure it's wet. So I'm gonna quickly run it under the water. All right. So it's important when you want to do chicken, for example, that you let it get a little bit warm. So if it's been in the fridge for like the past hours, you would like it to get warm before you actually go and cut it. So I've left mine, I leave it like, I take it like an hour out, but yeah, you can also just warm it up with your hands by touching it, because when you cook chicken, if it's cold, like in the middle, that'll cook slower. So the longer you have it out, the better. So now if we look at the chicken sideways, you'll see it's like, pretty thick. So I'm going to cut this in half so that I can cook it faster. And I'm just going to pause this so I can cut it in half. Maybe this will work and you can check me out. So just take my knife, my chicken, and I usually put my hand on top of the chicken and then I slice really slowly through the chicken. And you might be able to turn it over like this into the middle if you feel like, oh, I don't want to cut my hand. And then you can go like this through the middle of the chicken. So now I've got half the, and depending on how thick your chicken is, you might make this a little skinnier or a little fatter. So now I've got 2 pieces of chicken. Grab you again. And we're going to take a look at it. So here's my 1 piece of chicken now cut into 2. So these are fairly flat now. And so what I'm going to do next is simply grab the hammer. I don't know about you, but I have to like wash my hand a little bit before doing this. So you grab a meat hammer like this. Really simple. And then you just take all the aggression from your day and you just beat it in the chicken on both sides. Now what this will do is it'll help, one, make them cook evenly, because I'm mashing it a little, get that aggression from the shitty day up raw. And what I'm doing is I'm also putting extra pressure. Like this part is obviously here is a little thicker, so I can beat that down a little bit more so it cooks evenly. So all right, now I've got both sides of the chicken have been smacked. And this is how thin you're going to want them. So about this thin. And these will cook up really fast. So like if we remember how thick it was before, and now we look at my finger, you can see it's pretty nice. All right. So to the next part. So we're going to heat up the pan and put a little bit of oil in it. Now, if you don't want to put like a ton of oil. So I usually just put like this much in the pan. You really don't need a lot. If you want, you can put a little bit more. I only have 1 piece of chicken. And then I usually put it like on like medium heat. So like, that's like for us, like 6. Yeah. Then the other thing you want to do, and I just washed my hands, that's why there's a pause in the video, is take some salt and just put some salt on both sides of your chicken while you're waiting for that pan to heat up. Okay. Now, if you're really fancy, you can also like marinate your chicken or something beforehand. So you could stick it with something else. Like you can get some teriyaki sauce and do basically the same thing that I'm doing. And you can marinate the chicken and stuff. Don't need to. Now we're just going to wait for the pan to heat up, and then I'm going to show you how to cook this bad boy. All right, so I think our pan is getting warmer. So when we're going to take one of our pieces, and you might have several. You can also cut them in strips, but I'm showing you how to do it big because they stay a little bit more juicy. When they touch the fan, they should make that noise. That's how you know your heat's right, and when you move them, they'll move. So yeah, now what I usually do while that's cooking is I'll wash up this because that's where I want to put these on. And you'll see how quickly they're starting to turn white around the sides. I'm going to pause this so I can wash things. Okay, so I washed my knife and my cutting board because obviously I don't want like raw chicken touching cooked chicken at some point. But that took me all of no seconds. And the other thing I did is, like, if you notice that it's cooking too fast, which it'll start cooking too fast if you notice like it's turning brown out here. Like that's a little too fast for what I want, so I just turn the burner down. And then what you're going to do is if you shake it, it should move a little bit. They shouldn't be sticking to the pan. That's how you know you have enough oil. And you can also get like these spray things where you put your oil in and spray them. But I'm lazy, so I don't do that. At this point, if you wanted to add more seasoning or something, you could. But you'll notice like this is starting to turn white around the edges. But I want to wait long enough so that this goes a little bit longer. Now, one of the things you can do to speed up the cooking process or make it bake, and I do this actually quite often, is you take a second pan and you make yourself like a little lid. This works really nice in making a little oven. You can do this for about a minute or 2 minutes, and you'll see once I lift this up, it'll start to like turn more and more white. Yeah, so anyways, so yeah. So once I take this off, you can cook it without. I sometimes like to cook it with, especially if it's splattering or if it's doing some things. Or if you even have a lid, then you can cook one. If you have a clear lid, then you can actually see under it, but I am lazy and I just have this fun solution. So you'll see that they're turning more and more white. The more white it is, the more you know that it's completed with cooking. So we probably can flip these soon, I would say. So I'm going to grab my little friend here. And I'm going to take a look at how it looks underneath. That looks really good. Okay. So then we just flip it. Ta-da! And as you can see, these are looking really, really good. And because we've cut them thin and we've used the tenderizer, they'll cook a lot faster. So I think I've been cooking now for like less than 6 minutes max. And one of the things you'll see is like this starts to happen. Oh, sorry, fogging the screen. So like when you see that water's escaping, that's like a good sign. So chicken will like lose water at first, especially your guys' chicken, because it's got all the extra chicken water additives to make it juicy. But you don't want to cook it so that like it becomes dry. So same kind of principle. You want to like shake it, and you'll see this guy isn't moving. So I'm just going to move him just a little bit so that it doesn't stick to the pan. And we're going to just wait a while. So I'm going to pause the video so you don't have to watch me waiting while looking at chicken. I mean, you can if you want to. It's probably kind of fun, I guess. Okay, so it's cooked for about another half a minute or so. I would say now you can hear, at least I can hear, that it's not like sizzling as much. So I actually might turn up the heat just a little bit. You kind of will get a feel for it as you do it a little bit more. But it looks pretty good so far. I think I'm going to turn it up a little more. Yeah. And then, like I said, if it's sticking a little, just move it around. But try not to move it too much, because then you'll lose that really nice, like, golden, see this, like, really pretty golden part, which is oh so yum. You don't want to lose too much of that. Okay, so I'll tell you, like, the best thing, this is why you cannot undercook it, and why it will always be perfect, is that if you feel like it's done, then you just take one off, and you move it over onto your cutting board. Now, most people say let meat rest a little bit. Usually they say like 2 minutes. I say do whatever you want. But I would leave the pan on just a little bit if you're not sure. And then you can take a knife. And this is what I did when I was first learning, is I would just cut into it and look to see, is it fully cooked? Because this will give you a good idea. And you can see here, it looks pretty good. And then like this piece, you'll see, oh, hey, maybe it could have taken an extra minute. Well, you're still able to do that. So just throw it back on the Barbie. And so if you feel like, I don't know if it's totally cooked, you can put it on for a couple extra minutes like this, just to make sure that it's good to go. And you can even like push it up on the sides so that you're like, I feel good about it. And then as you do this more, you'll get a feel. And I left the other one on, I took this one off early on purpose. But then you can say, okay, I can cut it like this. Or you can even cut it into like tiny pieces and let it cook all the way. But you won't ever overcook the chicken if you've taken it off and let it sit for a couple seconds, because you'll be able to see here really quickly, okay, the pink's gone, and now it should be fine, okay? So this other one, obviously I've been letting cook a little bit longer. This one should be fine, and that one. And so like I said, just come over, cut through it, and you'll see it's really juicy in there. Yeah, juicy chicken, but it's all the way cooked. So it should kind of look like that, and there shouldn't be any pink in it. And then, like I said, if you want to, or you don't feel 100% sure, you're like, I don't know, maybe there's like just a little pink and I just don't see it, then you just take that meat, throw it right back in, and you cook it for like an extra minute or two, just to make sure that all of it has touched the grill. And I cut it up sometimes in the pan. If you want to cut it up this style too, after you've cooked, like I said, it will stay a lot juicier. So if you don't cook it, overcook it at this point, but if you move it around the pan, you'll have like a really nice cooked chicken. So this is how you can really make sure that you don't overcook your chicken, but that you always have really tasty bite-sized morsels. And now they're all finished, so I just take them off. And always move your pan away from where you were just cooking, because that's a little hot. Yeah. So anyway, there's your hot, spicy, really delicious chicken.